Welcome back to the Ban the Wave podcast. As you can see, Andrew, number one, what are we chowing down on? Was that a Cheez-It, maybe a peanut?
Candy corn.
Candy corn. Okay, it's a little early for candy. No, I would actually say that even on Halloween, it's too early for candy corn because candy corn is disgusting.
On my drive home today, I saw a Christmas tree. So
Okay, yeah.
let's just
I
say
guess all bets are off in that case. It might as well be St. Patrick's Day, which means there should be college baseball somewhere. Andrew, I'll let you in on a Midwest delicacy, and I shouldn't speak for all the Midwest. I think this might be maybe a Nebraska only thing. Who knows? Maybe if you're in the Midwest and you know what this is, let me know. You mix candy corn and then shelled peanuts, your typical roasted peanuts out of a can. You mix those together, you eat them at the same time, and they taste like a what do you call it? The red candy bar, a salted nut roll.
what's a salted nut roll?
Well, for Christ's sake, it's. Are you familiar with the Payday bar?
Yeah, but I've never eaten a payday bar.
Okay, well, it's sounds like you don't know what a payday is, but it's a payday with cream in the middle instead of peanut butter. But it's basically a thing of nuts with. I say cream. It's not like it's gonna be creamy like a donut or something like that, but it's a layer of almost like an Oreo cream in the middle, and
Well-
it's pretty good.
Well, working for College Baseball Central, I actually just got a payday the other week, right? My salary got doubled.
Yeah. I actually ended up tripling it. Surprised you didn't notice, but yeah, your salary has increased by quite a bit. You may not notice it, but it's there. I promise.
I had an extra zero.
Well, before Andrew took us on that journey of the candy bar or whatever you were eating, the candy corn, you should say, is it candy corn or is it the pumpkins?
Candy corns.
Okay, because I think the pumpkins are actually like worse than anything else because they're like chalky. I can eat candy corn. I don't think it tastes good, but I refuse to eat a candy pumpkin or whatever you call
Thank God we don't have a guest on tonight.
them. Yeah, thank God. But we've talked a lot about who we could potentially have on the Ban the Wave podcast. Here we are, just in episode 2. So if you're joining us today, you're getting in early. You can say that you were watching this early on. If you missed episode 1, it should be on YouTube. I don't know why it isn't, but it's definitely on Spotify, and we're going to have it on YouTube later today. This will be on YouTube as well. You can watch it in the live section or the video section, hopefully, after I don't screw that up. Andrew, episode 2, again, talking about the guys that we could have on, but we've got a nice lineup of things tonight. It feels like you ask yourself, what could really happen in college baseball on a week-to-week basis in September? We're going to find a way to fill up at least an hour of your guys' time, hopefully every Monday. So if you're tuning in here at Monday at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, we're doing this every Monday, and we hope when the season starts up in February, maybe even before that we're doing it more like twice a week.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, when the season comes around, it feels like doing it twice a week is going to be really easy to do. And it feels like we're going to be able to talk for way more than an hour, because when you try and talk about college baseball, talking about one conference in an hour like we do at Southern Fried and like what you did with Truck Stop Baseball, talking one conference for 1 hour, it's pretty easy to do. But when you're trying to squeeze in a bunch of conferences and a lot of good baseball happening in the winter time, it does stretch out. So we're hoping that this does take off a little. Hopefully all you day one people are here with us now, and you're here with us in February, and then at the very end in June in Omaha when me and Noah are doing this from Gorats.
If you have any ideas for what you want to hear Andrew and I talk about over the next, as he just alluded to, 9 months from here until we have the 8 teams in Omaha awaiting a championship. Any ideas at all, whether it be you want Kirk Saarloos on here, you want Peyton Tully talking about his experience with the Red Sox. I don't know why I went TCU there. We'll call it a Wichita State plug with Peyton Tully. If you want any ideas across the country, comment, DM. Our DMs are always open. I shouldn't speak for Andrew. Mine are always open.
Mine are always open, but I think I got to start turning them off.
Yeah.
I got a lot of people asking me where I'm from now.
Yes. Hi, friend. Where are you from? If you're a friend of mine, you should probably have an idea of where I'm from. Maybe not nail it down, but at least regionally. And you should probably be following me.
Yeah.
Which you're not. So, but any ideas at all, we are all ears for that. Episode 2 here. We got a loaded episode for you guys tonight. We'll run through it as we do it, but we're going to start off with Jay Johnson getting that bag. I know that was a program that you were close to last season, Andrew. Initial thoughts on two-time now national champion Jay Johnson getting probably a well-deserved pay raise.
So Wilson Alexander of the Advocate had this first, but I was starting to hear pay raises for the LSU staff while we were still in Omaha. This is well-deserved for Jay Johnson. He will become the highest paid head coach. He's going to pass Tony Vitello. This makes 5 head coaches in college baseball to be making at least $2 million, and now there are 4 head coaches that are making $3 million. Obviously, Jay Johnson, Brian O'Connor at Mississippi State, Tony Vitello, and I am missing one. If you can remind me of that later, but and then I know the 5th head coach making the $2 million is Tim Corbin at Vanderbilt, so it's probably another SEC coach making $3 million, but Jay Johnson, he comes in his first year. He established a foundation that was just easy to get to Omaha that next year. He's had success ever since getting to LSU. This is well-deserved for him.
Yeah, 2-time national champion. I know that our Jake McKeever kind of said the low-hanging fruit comment. It feels like he's still underpaid. If you were to maybe have a fantasy draft of head coaches on who you would want leading your program, I think it'd be close on who would go number 1 overall between Jay Johnson, Tony Vitello. I would even listen to arguments for Dave Van Horn. If you believe Arkansas is cursed and he's not, I would listen to that. But I think Jay and Tony Vitello would be the top 2 guys, and I don't know how much disagreement there would be there. It's tough for me on who I would take, but I think that Jay definitely deserves the money that he's gotten. And on one hand, it's easy to win at LSU, but at the same time, we saw that it wasn't for everybody. And Jay Johnson came in, and the way he's utilized the portal, I think that people viewed Tommy White as kind of the grand experiment. So it's safe to say that I don't think college baseball is going to go away from the portal or anything, but he's definitely changed the way that college baseball is played in just 3 years now. The way that the portal is utilized, the way he continues to utilize the portal. Immediately, Wes Johnson, coming from his time at LSU to now dominating the portal, like we talked about last week, his impact that he's made on the sport entirely is very similar to the way that Tony Vitello has impacted the sport, where Tony has made college baseball kind of fun again, per se. Jay Johnson made it very almost political. The way that he goes up to a press conference, he will talk like a college football coach, and I love it.
Yes, that 5th coach that I was thinking of is Jim Schlossnagle over at Texas, which well-deserved for him too. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of fitting that he does speak like a politician, knowing that Brian Kelly is the head coach over at LSU for football, and Brian Kelly does have some political ties in his family. So I think this is perfect for him. And it's like, I ended up speaking to some people about the extension, and it's like how this is so well-deserved. Coach Jordan turned down the Duke job to stay at LSU. We talked about it a little last week on the show, how we had Jordan get an offer to go to Duke, but it was go to Duke, know that you're not going to have the best resources or be the number 1 highest paid assistant in the SEC and have unlimited resources at this is an ACC school that has the potential to be a powerhouse in baseball, but they don't have the resources that their football program's getting now. I mean, they're paying their quarterback a reported $4 million a season for these next 2 seasons, and he's not even any good. So it was a very well-earned move for Coach Jordan as well, but it's just a lot of I feel like people don't understand how underpaid some assistants are in college baseball, where from my experience alone, I've talked to some assistants that are now working in business. They are making under a livable wage, but they loved baseball so much that they wanted a shot to just coach at it at the college level. And I mean, a little behind the door scenes of my life. I mean, I'm working at a high school coaching baseball there now. It's like I talked to some colleges in the summer about potentially joining as a grad assistant or a pitching coach, and it's like it's a big reality shock of hearing like what an LSU assistant's making compared to what an assistant's making at a low tier D1 up north. So
yeah, when you hear about the path that these current head coaches even have made, the top names that we talk about who are now making $2-3 million a year. The way that they started was not even an assistant football coach makes a very livable wage. We would all sacrifice our lives to go coach linebackers at pretty much any Division I school, whereas the best pitching coaches in the country who maybe aren't at the top schools make pretty close to what you and I make, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of respect for a lot of these coaches' families, for their wives, their girlfriends, because they do give up a lot just to try and chase a dream that they love. And when you get to know some of these coaches, if you get the opportunity to talk to as many coaches as me and you talk to, you get to like hear about this hardships, like of what they've had to go through to get here. So it's really cool seeing and hearing these stories, especially Coach Jay Johnson's.
Yeah, I've heard a couple stories of. It's kind of like when you find yourself at the neighbor's house because you know what time they're having dinner. Like, oh, hey, what's going on, guys? Oh, you're fixing dinner. It's catching an extra meal. It's like you're a college student, but you're a coach. It's a very weird dynamic, and that's really the case in every low-level institution, as far as I know, and even at some of the bigger ones. I don't know what the solution for that is long term, but people talk about growing the game. That's probably the area that needs to grow the most. If you're gonna think about where these coaches came from, I don't know exactly where Jay Johnson was before Nevada, what that looks like. But I think about easily Dan Fitzgerald and how he started at Iowa as a graduate assistant. Now he's at Kansas and just signed an extension himself. A lot of rumors about where he might end up. He's a top dollar head coach now because of the success he's found, but it wasn't easy in the 2000s when he was coaching at Iowa and Des Moines area community college and going from not necessarily door to door begging for meals, but making friends and carpooling and things of that nature, because that's the reality of the sport.
I mean, I think a great example of it is Dan Circa at Murray State now. He just signed an extension to make him the highest paid coach in his conference. And that kind of pushes the needle a little because we're talking about someone that was probably getting paid a couple $100,000 to be a head coach. Now he's getting paid in the upper $100,000s, where it pushes other conferences, other teams, and other mid-majors to step it up a little. I've talked to some coaches at the mid-major level that were linked to some other jobs this summer, and they said, look, I love my job here. I love the team. I love the area. I just wish I got paid a little bit more. I feel like I'm a good coach. I feel like I could be coaching at a Power 4 or even at a Power 6, talking about the Sun Belt and the American. But I feel like I'm just underpaid here. So,
yeah, that's the reality of the sport, and it just kind of comes with the territory. And again, I don't know what the solution is, but we talked about chasing a dream and whether Liam Doyle wants to end up one day coaching a team or not. He's chasing the major league dream right now, and he made his pro debut. And Andrew, you were, I don't know if lucky is the right word, but you were there. You were fortunate enough to be in attendance for a college player that we all enjoyed, very emotional player.
yes.
When you see heavy emotions, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this in your very brief experience with him, but when he was so emotional coming off the mound as a player felt like every outing that he had, especially in the postseason. I wonder how that energy carries over to pro baseball when all of a sudden it's not necessarily about the team as much as it's about yourself, but you're still trying to win at the same time.
Yeah, I got to actually talk to him a little bit about that, mostly playing the villain role at Tennessee, because it felt like if you looked at this Tennessee team this past year, and if you've watched Star Wars, I'm going to make an analogy or simile, whatever it is. Coach Vitello was Emperor Palpatine, and Darth Vader was Liam Doyle. So that makes Charles Davelin Luke Skywalker. So you look at this Tennessee team, they're full of just playing the enemy, playing the villain, and they really bought into it because they loved it. They loved having that target on that back. And he said, like, just going in there knowing that not a lot of people like us, not a lot of people like Tony Vitello, not a lot of people like Liam Doyle, but they come out here trying to kick our butt, but we just happen to get the best of them all majority of the season, and they just happen to run into a good Arkansas team at the end. He said more like his emotions just said it's going to be different because obviously professional ball, you got to just handle yourself a little bit better as a professional, while in the college game, it means more, like that whole SEC slogan. they let the emotions kind of slip, but he knows how to channel it a little bit better. So when he knows I can show emotion, there's going to be 30,000 more people at Lindsey Nelson behind him, backing him. So, I mean, obviously it was maybe a couple hundred fans at Roger Dean Stadium, and he only threw an inning in 2/3, but he looked very good. His emotions did look more in check. His velocity was a little down, but I did talk to him about that. He said, I was just looking to get back out here and be a little competitive. His last outing was against Arkansas. That's probably a month or 2 months now, back in early June. So 3 months. And he just, their season ended yesterday. So I wonder if he'll go to the Arizona Fall League. He did give up a home run. As I was trying to post his first career strikeout, I was recording it from the press box. He gave up a long home run to the Reds' number 3 prospect, Alfredo Duno. So that was very fun to just. I'm trying to get it, but I didn't get. So did he really give up the home run if I didn't record it?
Yeah, I don't think that's clearly how it works. You didn't see it, so it didn't happen.
Another prospect made their debut as well as Gage Wood made his debut the other day with the Clearwater Threshers for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Should be a matter of time until he throws a no-hitter, I would think.
Yeah, they're trying to tease him coming back. They're like, oh yeah, NCAA legend. Yeah, I say he'll throw his no-hitter like first outing next year probably. Again, like these are guys that haven't thrown in 2 to 3 months against live batters. They're just trying to get a quick inning or two, get the blood boiling again. So
you can't rush a no-hitter. You kind of have to just let it come naturally. But it'll happen.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, as we gear up for the active college baseball players, talking about Liam Doyle and a little bit of Gage Wood, we're leaving them in the past. You can go and check on them every once in a while. Apparently, you have access to minor league games. That's great for you. But coming up, college baseball is kicking into gear. I think that, call them competitors, but the high tide raises all boats. D1 baseball is a great exhibition tracker. Every fall scrimmage in the country, I think they do a good job of getting countries or programs to reach out to them and provide them with the dates of fall scrimmages, where they're going to be at. That's kind of a hard thing to find in this day and age. You kind of have to be in the know sometimes. D1 has them all. On the graphic here, which might be kind of tricky to read, I've listed about 10 Power 5 versus Power 5 scrimmages and where they're going to be played at. Those are obviously the ones that you get a little bit more excited about. I know that Mississippi State and Florida State has been one that a lot of people had keyed in on right away. But there's other great ones on there, like TCU and A&M, Texas Tech and Texas, Purdue and Cincinnati. Missouri and Iowa is just kind of gross enough to get you excited about fall ball. Andrew, with fall ball I think it starts in 4 days, according to our friends at D1, with maybe some Northeast colleges. That seems like it's how it goes. It starts in the Northeast and then kind of spreads south and west. Andrew, anything that you're especially excited about matchup-wise?
Some of these scrimmages, I mean, right off the bat, Texas Tech and Texas, these are two contenders for their respective conferences. Like, these two should be at the top of their conferences every year now, it feels like. I mean, Texas Tech did have another down year, it felt like. But that's always an exciting one, especially with Texas bringing in as many transfers and many big names as they just did. I'm really looking forward to this West Virginia Kentucky one. Steve Sabins over at West Virginia, he's built a juggernaut over there now. Looks like Big 12 tournament champions, or not tournament champions, conference regular season champions.
Some are saying co-champions, but they were the champions.
Hey, that wall said champions. So Steve Sabins,
and they actually didn't split it with anybody. So you were 100% right. But Kansas fans will tell you it was a co.
West Virginia and Kentucky, Steve Sabins, Nick Mingione, those are two really high respective coaches in D1. Those are two coaches that are just building. If you want to buy stock in a coach, I'd buy stock in those two coaches. It feels like every year we're talking about how great of a job they are doing with their programs. Vanderbilt and Utah is a very interesting one. I always forget that Vanderbilt goes out west for some reason during the fall. Like, imagine being a Vanderbilt baseball. But I think that is during their fall break, which would probably make a little bit sense. But Vanderbilt and Utah Utah's opening up a beautiful new baseball facility, and Vanderbilt gets to be the first people to break it in. So Vanderbilt, you're always going to talk about Vanderbilt and how great Tim Corbin's running that program. Kansas State and Kansas, those are just you'd love to see that. You love to see that. Alabama and Clemson, these are 2 top 10 teams in the country probably. I'm looking forward to see Rob Vaughn and Eric Bachage shake hands and see those teams. It's a scrimmage, but those 2 teams are trying to compete. You did leave off one scrimmage.
I left off several.
Well, Auburn's playing the Savannah Bananas.
That. I did leave that one off intentionally. Clemson did that last year, and I think most Clemson fans will tell you that the way that their season ended was a disappointment. I don't think that that's not correlated. I think that those go hand in hand.
I mean, if you don't want to make it to Omaha, I guess you just play the Savannah Bananas in the fall.
Yeah, I think that we could go round and round about the Savannah Bananas. I think everybody knows that I'm anti, except JD Andrus. Shout out to – I don't even know how to say his last name, and frankly, I don't care. But JD's a TCU guy who also, for some reason, does Texas and Wake Forest and who knows who else. It's very weird. But shout out to JD. He's a big Savannah Bananas guy himself. But you mentioned the Kansas State-Kansas scrimmage. I really enjoyed that one last year because – kind of in my backyard. I only had to drive about 3 hours to go see them play at Kansas State. This year they're doing it again at Kansas. And the beautiful thing was, and I don't know if they're doing it again, it's a really easy thing to look up. So maybe, Andrew, you can do it. Maybe I can. Who knows? But last year they lined it up with the Kansas State football game. So you had this baseball game that was easy for people to walk into. Of course, exhibitions are free about 99% of the time. And in the background, you have rows and rows of tailgating. You have the football stadium right behind Kansas State's baseball stadium. The setup's a little different at Kansas, but it's still doable. And it's going to create an interesting scene if that's how they do it again. And if they don't,
it is.
That is beautiful. I love that they do that.
Kansas football, you can go see 1-11 Kansas State play 1-11 Kansas.
Okay, Kansas is actually very good at football. I know that they just lost to Missouri, but I think Kansas has a good chance to play for a Big 12 championship in December. So I'm not going to defend Kansas football that much, but I won't let you call them 1-11. They scare me. As an Iowa State fan, they scare me. Kansas State, however, deserves to go 0-12 in football. But I do like their baseball program quite a bit.
Yes.
Glad I can address that.
There are some interesting I think I kind of harped on it last week, the scrimmages. UCF is playing a scrimmage at a high school field in Key West, Florida. So UCF is playing FIU, I believe. FIU in Key West. I looked up this baseball field, by the way, and it looks really cool. But it's like a 3-in-1 purpose field. So it's like if you look up like some of the schools in the MAC, like Canisius, it's like that field. So I don't know.
I have watched Canisius baseball before, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
I took a visit there, so.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I'm all in on that. Andrew, if I were you, I would be there in spades. So I don't know what you have going on, but I expect you to be there.
October 11th. I could make that work, maybe.
I have this thing going on where I'm so superstitious about Iowa State football and things are going well right now that it's tough for me to commit to be at fall scrimmages on a Saturday. So I'm trying to find one on a bye week. And October 18th is really, really juicy for me. And there's a lot of great matchups across the country. I don't necessarily want to hop on a plane to go to a fall scrimmage, but I might.
It's 4.5 hours from me, Key West.
That's so precious. You know, Missouri is about that far from me. Should I never go to Missouri?
I don't know where you go. You're like the invisible man during the season. I don't know where you go, and I don't know when you go.
Yeah, well, I'm primarily in the state of Kansas.
But you live there?
As far as these exhibitions go, I know that there's several in the state of Nebraska, too, that I'll be at. Missouri playing at Iowa is intriguing to me, but Iowa pretty far away. I'm looking forward to seeing how Missouri looks with Carrick Jackson. This is kind of I'm not going to say a prove it year because he didn't really prove anything last year, but I like that Missouri continues to give him a longer leash, and I'm excited to see how that goes for Missouri. You won't learn a whole lot in fall ball, but I'm interested to see how they'll play, at least in that setting against a Big Ten team.
So I will say this about Carrick Johnson or Carrick. I think he's got 2 more years. I think this year they're giving him more resources from what I've heard. They're giving him more resources to get to that level. And I think this is this year is an actual rebuild year. Like last year, forget what happened. We're giving you resources now to go get transfer portal guys. Let's see what you do this year. Next year you gotta make the tournament. You gotta make it as a 2 seed or maybe even host.
That's a crazy expectation. If Missouri hosts a regional, Carrick Jackson will win National Coach of the Year. If he makes the tournament, he might win National Coach of the Year. It usually seems to be that's the way that it goes, is that you have to reach Omaha to win the one that's handed out by the National College Baseball Writers Association. But there are so many different Coach of the Year awards. They should all go to Carrick Jackson if Missouri reaches the NCAA tournament, let alone host a regional. I think that's a insane expectation, Andrew. If that's how you SEC boys are challenging Missouri, good for you. But I think that Missouri would be over the moon with a couple series wins in SEC.
But that's how their athletic director is, by the way. That's they hold Missouri sports to a pretty high standard there, from what I've understood.
Well, Missouri's a journalism school. End of story. That's what's most important.
Isn't every SEC school, every journalism kid that slides into my DM to ask me for help, which I didn't major in journalism, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I'm not an English major. I majored in criminology and justice. To say that I got to this seat right now and I'm on live with you, if you told me that in my freshman year, I would have laughed at you and said you're lying. I thought I would have been a lawyer. Things change, but
well, Andrew, you're not the only criminology and criminal justice major on this program right now.
So every SEC school, I guess, is a great journalism school, from what I've understood. So. And the funny thing is, Loyola is actually a very good journalism school, and we're not in the SEC, so suck it.
Okay. It is possible to do journalism outside of the SEC. In fact, a lot of sports fans will tell you it's very possible to do journalism outside the SEC and impossible to do in the SEC. Any other fall scrimmage tidbits you want to touch on, Andrew? I know that I should say this. We hold on, Drew. We did have somebody comment, shout out to Canes Cats Heat. He's a frequent flyer around these parts. Let us know that Miami did have a scrimmage. We aren't talking intra or inter. It feels like a big debate every year. Inter or intra squad scrimmages. Those are great. Those happen all the time.
Yeah.
Kansas has had them. Arkansas has had them. Arkansas seems to have them every Friday. If you're an Arkansas fan and you want to go watch your Hogs, every Friday in the fall, you can go do that. That's great. But these are squad against squad, and those are what get me more excited.
A few that I wanted to touch on. Charlotte and South Carolina, those are 2 schools that I expect to make huge jumps. I talked to a pitcher in the American Conference today that told me Charlotte is the team to beat in the American this year. I'm very excited to see what Coach Woodard is going to do with that pitching squad. He's one of the smartest pitching minds in college baseball, in my opinion. And then South Carolina has a lot to prove. I have a lot of respect for Coach Maneri and that coaching staff, and I think they brought in one hell of a portal class that's going to make a big impact this year. So seeing those 2 squads scrimmage for 12 innings, 13 innings, how many innings they ever want to play, those are going to be 2 really good teams, I think, when it comes to the springtime. Some others, Gonzaga and Oregon State, those are always 2 fun teams to watch. I'm just scrolling down the D1 page right now because I know I'm missing a few. I know Miami. Oh, Tulane and Ole Miss. I think Tulane and Ole Miss is going to be a very good one. That's in Oxford. They didn't pair that up, unfortunately, with the Tulane Ole Miss football game next week, but they're doing that October 18th or like early October. They're doing early October, Tulane, Ole Miss. I think Jay Ullman, Anthony Izzo, I think Coach Walt Jones, Brian Hodge, that whole staff, I think they worked their asses off this past summer, bringing in a lot of portal commits. Bo Sampson's going to lead that staff. They brought in a UConn pitcher. I'm going to butcher his last name, but it's Jude Abascada, I think. He's going to be phenomenal. Trent Lelos from Northwestern State. I can talk about this Tulane portal class because they are probably one of my favorite mid-major portal classes. And Ole Miss, I got to talk to Coach Mike Bianco, obviously, 2 weeks ago. Just Ole Miss is in the standard of what college baseball should be. So I'm looking forward to seeing those two teams go tail to tail. And as Canes Cats Heat 305 just pointed out, FAU and Miami are scrimmaging next month. I will be in attendance for that one. I'm looking forward to seeing how those two teams go face to face. Miami did bring in another loaded portal class. It's just how these pieces going to click because, like I just said with Ole Miss, Miami is in that high standard. Miami is a blue blood in college baseball, in my opinion. And FAU, they're going to be they did lose some pieces in the portal, but James Littman, he's going to be front line of that staff next year. I'm looking forward to seeing how that FAU team takes that next step.
Yeah, I'm a lot of great ones you just highlighted just now, Andrew. I think the special part about college baseball scrimmages is I don't think football teams scrimmage at all. I think that'd be very strange. That's more of an NFL thing. But basketball, it happens all the time, but they're called secret scrimmages. And you have to follow certain people, maybe Trilly Donovan, if you're a fan of that sort of burner ball that he calls it. Otherwise, maybe here and there you hear whispers about here's what might have happened in this scrimmage. And it's not really reliable, but it kind of is because you don't have any reason to doubt it.
Well, there are scrimmages in college football, but sometimes you just pay teams $1.1 million to come into your stadium and beat your butt 18-16. And I'm not a UF fan, so.
Well, don't forget Kansas State and Army. Don't overlook that one. But let's stay on topic, Andrew. We don't want to get down in the weeds with Kansas State. But it's great to have so many exhibitions. It's the standard for college baseball, just part of the sports calendar. You have at least 2 scrimmages, it feels like, for the vast majority of teams. You get out in the fall and you get to see these teams play. I think it's fantastic for the sport. It's free, like I said, about 99% of the time. I think the only one you'll find that isn't free is when it's at maybe a minor league park, which is just another fun experience. So I think it's just a great appetizer for the college baseball season, and it only makes sense because you have these college baseball players really playing all year round. So it's great to get out and it also helps you figure out that roster situation that's looming.
Yeah, and another thing, 2 things. One is a good, one's a bad. The good thing, you're watching it in comfortable weather. It's going to be like 75 degrees out. You're going to go out there. You're going to be able to wear like a sweater and shorts because when season starts in January, it's going to be like 40 and miserable. The second thing, my down. I wish some of these scrimmages were televised. I wish that. Like you don't need to have Mike Monaco on the call, but just put a camera in center field. Put a camera in center field. Put 2 freshman journalism majors on the camera wells at first and third, and let them I want to There's gonna be a bunch of games that I'm not gonna be able to go to. Like South Carolina and Charlotte. That's probably going to be on my short list of games I want to go to, but I probably can't because I have a life down here in Florida now. So I want to go up to Columbia or Columbus, South Carolina, whatever it is. I want to go to South Carolina, Charlotte, but no, I'm probably going to miss out on that. I'm going to have to ask insiders how they think those teams looked. So
yeah, that is kind of the downfall is not only are they not televised, but they're not a secret scrimmage. But even when you're there, and I don't know how many scrimmages you've been to, Andrew. I haven't been to too many myself. I'll raise my hand on that one. But some that I've been to where the programs know I'm there, they'll come up and say, hey, by the way, coaches don't necessarily want scores tweeted or specific stats. But at the end, they'll hand you a box score and they'll advertise that this game is happening. Here's the time. By the way, we have concessions open. But then they'll say, shh, don't tell anyone that you were here. So it's kind of a weird deal there. You can tweet out videos of players, which I'm happy to do all the time. It's great to see players like Dariel Osoria, who had a nice fall for Kansas, then become a major player in Kansas's lineup. Saw him early, but I couldn't really tell anybody what the score was when he hit a sac fly in the fall.
Yeah. A lot of the tweets you're going to see when we do go to these scrimmages are just going to be, yeah, this guy's he's throwing like 90, 93 in the 13th inning of this scrimmage.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm looking forward to going and watching a lot of this college ball. A lot of the high school guys I'm coaching now, I'm hopefully going to be taking them to show them how these kids handle themselves, because you can see how a good team handles themselves in the fall, in my opinion. That's something we preached when I played. If you can handle your business in the fall, you're going to handle your business in May when it matters.
I think that cohesion of the team is really on display too.
Yes.
They're not on campus for a long time. Like I said, we have some that start next week, scrimmage-wise. School's been in session, maybe 3-4 weeks at colleges, probably closer to 3 than 4. And
we actually have our first scrimmage at the end of this week.
Yeah.
Northern Essex and Maine.
A barn burner. Throw out the record books when they get together. But when you can look in the dugout and see everybody standing on the ledge, you can fake it. You can certainly go out there and fake it. But I remember being impressed with how cohesive Creighton was. And Creighton was an NCAA tournament team. So I don't know if that's a strong correlation there, but I like seeing that right away, especially for this era of college baseball where we talk about a lot of the teams that we're excited to see in the fall are also pretty transfer heavy.
Yes. Yeah, it's also interesting to see, because in football, when you transfer, you're going to learn a whole new playbook at times. With transferring to college baseball, you just kind of adjust your offensive strategy because you might be playing a different kind of baseball. Some teams are more lenient on the base running aspect of the game. A lot of the teams are big boppers. They're trying to hit the long ball, trying to have as many extra base hits as possible. So, I mean, as a pitcher, it's easy. You just go in there, throw strikes, execute your pitches, get in and out. As least amount of pitches as possible. Offensively, it's different because you got to learn all your signs, all your different steal breaks, all your different hitting strategies. So it's very fun to watch in the fall.
Yeah, well said, Andrew. I agree. Pitching in college is easy. That was well said by you.
Yes, your 4 ERA in college ball.
Looking ahead at not just fall ball, but we have some tidbits on what the regular season might look like already. I'm not even going to say already. I will take this minute to, as I pull this up, an early look at the Jacksonville Classic. But before I get into that, I'm just going to say it is September 8th, 2025. Why are we gatekeeping the schedule for the college baseball season? I know that there are a few things that maybe aren't pieced together yet, some contracts that aren't signed, but You know what are finalized for the most part? Conference schedules, Andrew. I don't want to put any false credits out there, but I think Purdue maybe released their conference schedule. Somebody in the Big Ten did. Meanwhile, I'm not going to sit here and say when I saw the Big 12 schedule for the next, I think it was at least 1 year. It might have been multiple years out. But I know that schedule was finalized in at least April. So it's been 5 months now that the Big 12 has been sitting on their schedule for 2026. Why are we waiting? What are we waiting for? I would like to know when that ball is going to drop. The conference can tweet it out. It doesn't have to be individual teams posting it, because I get it. Maybe your non-conference isn't set yet.
I actually kind of know the answer to this one.
Let's hear it, Andrew.
So some teams are finalizing hotel schedules, travel schedules, making sure that some things are available, because you're able to book a hotel at times up to 8 months in advance. So I've heard some schools saying they're going to release their non-conference schedule in December. And I said to that, how bad is your non-conference schedule that you have to release it a month before the season starts? This was to a D3 team, not to a D1 team, so teams are trying to lock down hotels, buses, flights, and start getting the premise of the food. around. And so since I'm dead serious about this, I'm dead serious. And with the rules of now there being 34-man travel, their 34-man roster limit, you got to also make sure everyone's like got their what's the golden star on there? The real ID. You got to make sure everyone's got real ID now.
Oh my God.
If you're going to Puerto Rico, you need a passport now. Like,
I'm going to say that I'll agree with you. I think some of the things that you're saying are correct, but it's 2025 and I don't care about any of those things. Can we please just release the schedule? If you as, I don't know, Kansas State can't figure out how to host Oklahoma State, whenever that may be, you have bigger problems in the schedule coming out in September. We don't need to see the schedule. In fact, there aren't very many people who want a college baseball schedule right now. We're in college football season. But please just give us a little taste of conference play. I do need it. I'm with you. But we know who Florida plays week 1, UAB, because they had to say who Kevin O'Sullivan was suspended against. So why are they gatekeeping that? Just who do you play week 2? Fill in some gaps. We see there's a great tool, I believe it's called College Baseball Insider. Andrew, I don't know if you've ever visited, but it's a place where, and I don't know if it's the marketplace for this, but it's a place where college baseball coaches can post and say, hi, I'm at Stony Brook, and we have a weekend availability in April of 2027, and we'll pay you to come out and play.
Yes,
if we're posting that 4 years out, why don't we have a schedule set in September? And I get it, Andrew. People got to get their Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and you have to have the per diems lined up. That's why you have staff. Let's go ahead and release the schedules. And I understand if your non-conference isn't set up, that's fine. But there have been conference series set up for, like I said, at least 5 months now. It's time to release them.
Yeah. I've talked to one coach about their schedule. It's a very fun schedule. I got to talk to someone about it today. It's a very fun schedule. I'm looking forward to when this team announces it so I can start planning some games to go to. Let's just say it's a very fun schedule. And when it's released, I'll make it known that I knew about this. So.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you went to one of those journalism schools. I know a secret. It's going to be awesome. And when it happens, I'll let you know. Thank you, Andrew. Moving on from that tangent that Andrew got us on, I had nothing to do with it. The Jacksonville Classic is one of the events that we do know who's participating in and when that's going to be, which is apparently a secret in most cases. We had heard weird whispers of LSU being in one of these events hosted by Peak. I know Micah and I did at the Big 12 tournament. It was kind of it was a weird deal. Like, oh, we got LSU in an event. All right, that's a kind of normal thing, but it came out where they're going to be. It's in Jacksonville. There was rumors that they were going to be in Frisco. Was it
Round Rock?
Round Rock.
They went to Frisco last year.
Okay.
Wasn't the whole thing that people were hearing, oh, they're going to Jacksonville, and then other people are like, yeah, they're going to Jacksonville. No, they're going to Round Rock. And it was basically no, we got them. No, we got them. No, we got them.
Yeah. So. I don't know what the big deal. It's like LSU is the prettiest girl at the dance. I guess it's all Jay Johnson, but
they are now. They're national champs.
But credit to Jacksonville. I guess they nailed them down along with Notre Dame, UCF, and Indiana. Week 2, and this is our second mention of Monty Taylor, who used to work for College Baseball Central. He's all over this event. This is kind of his Super Bowl. And I know that you'll be there as well, Drew.
Yeah, me and Monty are sharing the honeymoon suite. He doesn't know that yet. But, I'm looking forward to going to this one. Sorry, I went on my tangent. But, yeah.
This one's intriguing for me because you have a Notre Dame program that showed a lot of flash and sizzle this last year. But when you have a player like Carson Tenney, among a few other guys, enter the portal, it's a question mark on how that program resets with head coach Sean Stilfler, no relation to American Pie up there. It's an intriguing start for them because I think that Notre Dame is a total wild card in that ACC. Kind of once again, the entire ACC is all wild cards, but they're interesting to me. And UCF is a wild card as well. That's a team that finished last in the Big 12, but pretty much everybody who watched Big 12 baseball in any capacity agrees that they were a lot better than last place in the Big 12. They play a lot better in the state of Florida than they do anywhere else, and this happens to be in the state of Florida. And then, excuse me, Andrew.
Sorry.
One last comment on Indiana would be that this is a big year for head coach Jeff Mercer. They had a few big time guys out of the portal. They were able to keep a few that have shown a lot of potential, but Indiana kind of, I don't want to say they had an identity crisis this year, but I'll just again say it's a big prove it year for Jeff Mercer, and it feels like he needs to find a way to win events like this to get some momentum. I know that a couple years ago they started hot in the Conway opener against Coastal Carolina and Duke, but they gotta show me a little bit of something here, because I think Jeff Mercer, I don't want to accuse him of coaching for his job, but if Indiana wants to hire Chris Lemonis again, he's out there. But Andrew, what do you see in this field? And I didn't even talk about LSU, which is your specialty, supposedly.
It's just a team that I happened to watch a lot last year and just happened to be there. I mean, LSU is the favorite to win this, obviously, but a school to watch out for in this is UCF. As you did mention, they did play very well in the state of Florida. They did finish last in the Big 12 in their first full year in the Big 12. And this is a big year for a third-year head coach, Rich Wallace. He was brought into this program to really revitalize it heading into the Big 12. So seeing them finish last year, when they were probably projected to finish in that middle range, especially being in Florida. Like in the Big 12, you should be able to compete against those Texas schools in the Big 12. And they just were very underwhelming this last year. They had a decent portal class, bringing in some good players. So this is going to be a very big year for Rich Wallace. And I think it starts in the Jacksonville, the Live Like Lou Jacksonville Classic. That's going to be a very fun series to watch them play. You mentioned it with Coach Mercer over at Indiana. This is a very big year for him. He's on the hot seat. It's very well known over there that this has got to be a year. We did lose some guys in the portal. We're going to have to win. We're going to have to win this. Not win this, but make some noise in the Big Ten this year so they don't think, oh, Coach Lemonis is looking pretty over there. Like, maybe we should go back for some seconds. And then Notre Dame coach Stifler, it feels like ever since Lane Jarrett left to go to FSU, they kind of just stumbled. They've kind of just plateaued. They've made some noise with having some big players like Carson Tenney. They made some noise in the ACC tournament. Not in the ACC tournament. They got hot in the back half of last year, ran out of gas in the ACC tournament. So they're just looking to just kind of build off of that back half of last year and keep it going this year, even though they are replacing some big guys like Tenney.
Yeah, Jacksonville was really exciting last year with Alabama, and Ohio State picked up their first win, but outside of that continued to struggle. But it was a really exciting field a year ago. They seem to be able to capitalize on exciting transitions for teams, and I think this is four programs who are all moving in different directions because they're four very different programs, but all that in a different way kind of need this. LSU kind of needing anything is crazy to say, but you want to continue that momentum after a championship, and Notre Dame wants to come out and make noise that they weren't just a flash in the pan a year ago with a few exciting freshmen. UCF has to make noise in their conference, prove that they are a power team or program, and Indiana has a lot of explaining to do, mostly to themselves. So it's an exciting field of teams that all have different statements to make that should make for an intriguing field.
I will say this about LSU. They did they responded pretty big after that that Omaha, Nebraska loss. They end up winning they won the next game. They won the series there. They go to Texas. They beat DBU, and then they swept through the Frisco, Texas series. And that's when they really started to get hot. They got hot going into the last conference series, and then going into conference play, they got hot at the right time. So this, I know it's crazy to say this early on in the season, but this could be a make it or break it for some teams. If you end up taking, like we saw with Baylor and Auburn last year, they go into Globe Life Field. Baylor took 2 out of 3 and Auburn swept the event. You can really start things hot and off on the right foot by by sweeping or taking 2 out of 3 in these early season round robins.
Yeah, and it helped Kansas State out tremendously. That was a team that ended up on the NCAA tournament bubble, and it's safe to say that their success against our Arkansas, and I'm forgetting the other teams that were in that event that I was literally present for. I'm surprised that I'm forgetting.
State?
TCU, not Oregon State. Arkansas, TCU, and Michigan. They did really well against those 3 teams, and it's immeasurable what an event like this can do for your NCAA tournament hopes as compared to playing some mid-major teams at home that you're expected to beat. This is not the only event that we've heard from. Looking at the Round Rock Classic that I put the wrong location on because why wouldn't I? Baylor, Oregon State, Southern Miss, and Purdue. I tweeted when this was announced that this is a bring your own guts event. I think this is a really scrappy one. Baylor, it's safe to say they got hit hard in the transfer portal, but I still really like what Mitch Thompson's doing at Baylor. He's a proven winner at a lower level, and I'm excited to see how that program continues to build. Oregon State is one that they have to get comfortable playing on the road, and here they are in Texas in February. That's about as comfortable as you can get. This one feels like, even though you are in the state of Texas, it's not warm ever for this event. And then Southern Miss and Purdue as well joining them. Southern Miss is such an interesting program every year. It feels like they stay exactly the same year to year. And Purdue is one that, again, they produce some really good players over the years, but they get hit by the portal hard every year. Last year wasn't as strong as it could have been for the Boilermakers, but I like what their program's built on.
I agree. I really like Southern Miss and Oregon State. This, like you just said, it's bring your own guts. Coach Canham and Coach Ostrander going toe-to-toe in this. This will be a very fun one to watch. Sorry. Purdue's a very scrappy team. It feels like they're always on the come up. I'm very excited to see Purdue. And Baylor, you mentioned it with Mitch Thompson. Baylor, they get hit by a portal, but he's a proven winner. He knows how to recruit very well. So this is always a fun one to watch, and hopefully you can make it down there and know where you're going this time, either Frisco or Round Rock.
Well, either way, it feels like Frisco and Round Rock are always the identity crisis Texas tournaments that feel like they're too early every year because you turn it on and everybody's wearing their winter coats. But then you have the one in Arlington that's, of course, indoors, which we'll get to in a second, where I would say that they keep it too warm in the building. They always advertise it's like 66 outside, but it's 73 in here. Let's turn it down. Let's make it 70 degrees. But
isn't the press box like all the way up? So heat rises, so you're just cooking up there?
Yes. And the food is expensive, and it's I'm not necessarily shaken about the Big 12 tournament moving from there, but that's a discussion for another day. Any additional comments on Round Rock, Drew?
No, I'm good.
Great. The Shriner Showdown, which is, of course, week 1 in Arlington at Globe Life Park. Another strong field. They always seem to crank out a lot of quality teams, and this one is very Southwest Conference feel to it with Mountain West, the TCU mixed in there. Arkansas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, and Texas. It feels like we're going to have the top – I don't know how they're going to shake it up. They're going to have, I guess, the Big 12 teams take on the SEC teams. And
Arkansas will play – I think they'll play Oklahoma because Arkansas and Oklahoma don't play in the SEC.
Okay. Well, you're going to get some fun rivalries when you get this group of 6 teams together. I don't know the matchups, Andrew, so I'll just kind of do PEMDAS, where you take and see who could play each other. Arkansas and Oklahoma State we have the legend from the regional a few years ago, and it feels like they play every year now. Great matchup, love it. Usually it's a fall thing. This time it's a winter thing. I'm all in. Arkansas, TCU, those fan bases don't care for each other. Arkansas, Texas Tech, we'll get into Arkansas just kind of stealing TJ Pompey from them. Great player that I really enjoy. And then Arkansas and Texas, historic rivalry, and those fan bases really hate each other. That will be an incredible atmosphere down at Globe Life. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, that's Bedlam. Oklahoma, TCU. I'm sure there's something there. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, ? Oklahoma, Texas, Red River. That will almost certainly not be a matchup, but the fact that they're in the same building should create some tensions. Oklahoma State, Arkansas, again, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Bedlam, Oklahoma State, TCU is fun, but it won't happen. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, that's who's got the better guns. Oklahoma State, Texas, that one's kind of dirty itself. Then you get TCU against the programs we already touched on, as well against Texas. That one's really fun. And then TCU, Texas Tech won't play, but another conference one. And then Texas Tech against Texas. That one's really exciting in its own right because Texas Tech fans do not like Texas at all. You got the Chris Beard connection. Neither school has Chris Beard now. Andrew, I think I just went toe-to-toe with every matchup that could possibly happen, but what else catches your eye in week one at Globe Life?
I think I'm so proud of the Shriners Showdown Committee to saying, hey, let's just get the old Big 12 back together. Let's just get the old Big 12 together. Like, I miss the good old days. No, but this is going to be a very fun one. I mean, you're talking about such high-level coaches already. You're talking about Coach Van Horn, Coach Holiday, Coach Johnson, Coach Schlossnagel, Coach what's his name? Sarloos at TCU. I know the Texas Tech coach. It's not just ringing a bell right now, but
Jim Tadlock.
Yes, Tadlock. You're talking about a bunch of coaches that are experienced, proven winners, and have a lot of success. They should rename this tournament the tournament. Well, I don't want to say the tournament of winners because not a lot of them have been winning a lot of stuff lately. But this is like a very, very old-timing showdown. I really like it. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of firepower, I feel like. I mean, Arkansas, Texas, they just revitalized themselves through the portal. Same with, all of these schools revitalize themselves through the portal. These are 6 teams that are going to be fighting for hosting spots and fighting for chances to get to Omaha. Like, this is what you want in Globe Life Field. And we saw it last year. We saw Clemson, Louisville, Clemson, Ole Miss. Like, those were very fun games to watch early on in the season.
And that feels like what Arlington has been every year since this event kicked off in 2021 is a preview of a handful of these teams are going to go to Omaha, and the other half are probably going to come up short in super regionals. And they do a really good job of nailing that, at least early on. They do have 3 weekends in Arlington. And as we unveil, or they've been unveiled, as we just kind of highlight the other 2 weekends, I'm interested in who's going to be picking up the TV rights for this, because as far as I know, it hasn't been announced yet. Because Flow Sports no longer have the contract. Now, they could easily get it back, but the contract did expire in 2025. So it's up to Rev Entertainment to decide, probably financially, incentively, who picks up the rights for that. I think that if ESPN is sitting at home and thinking, how much could it possibly cost Flow Sports to get the rights? Let's go ahead and match that.
I think
put it on ESPN.
We should make a bid.
What was that?
We should make a bid.
I agree.
Make Monty go out to the games. No ACC teams. Make him go out there and announce all the games by himself. No, make him and Jake. Him and Jake announce all the games.
That would be appointment viewing. Weekend 2 in Arlington might be appointment viewing as well. You have Auburn, Florida State, Kansas State, Louisville, Michigan, Nebraska. I don't know what the matchups are. I would assume Michigan and Nebraska are not playing each other. I'm like 99% sure. I think that's who released their schedule is Michigan, because I'm pretty sure I saw Michigan plays at Nebraska this year. But another exciting crop of teams where Auburn is young. They lose Ike Irish, but they're still plenty youthful. A lot of great freshmen on that program. Florida State replacing Jamie Arnold and a few leaders, but they're becoming a very developmental program where every year they're good again. Kansas State had a few portal losses, but outside of that, that's a team that remains pretty much the same, at least in terms of mindset of being that scrappy Midwest team that is overlooked a little bit. Same players every year, it feels like, very similar to Southern Miss. Louisville, a team that played well in Omaha, but has a little bit more to fight for with a lot of the same guys back. Michigan, a program that wants to win an NCAA tournament game or make the NCAA tournament under Tracy Smith, a fantastic head coach. And Nebraska, a program that just won the Big Ten tournament in a year where they weren't supposed to win the Big Ten tournament. What can they do now with a little bit more momentum under their hood? This one it's going to fly under the radar when you look at what week 1 presents as the immediate flash and sizzle of Arkansas and Texas. But I really like this crop of teams too.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of just like teams that have a lot of storylines coming in. I mean, Ben McDonald in Louisville, like they have a lot of pressure on them to make it back to Omaha, in my opinion. Yes.
Ben McDonald is in the booth, and he went to LSU.
Dan McDonald. A lot of pressure on that Louisville team, especially since they are returning a lot of their starting lineup. Florida State, Link Jarrett, Link holds himself to such a high standard that he expects his team to come in and win this. Auburn and Kansas State are two teams that really had late season resurgences that helped them bolster their resumes in the tournament. And then Michigan and Nebraska, like Michigan and Coach Tracy Smith, phenomenal. Just every day I go on social media praying that he posted another baseball highlight video. And Nebraska, you're right. I mean, they end up taking down UCLA in the Big Ten tournament championship last year. Nebraska's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like they don't have a lot of storylines going into the season. But when you see them make the tournament because they win the auto bid or they get in that large bid, you're like, oh, they really deserved that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they did deserve that. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting group of programs. I think that's safe to say, and that's weekend 2 in Arlington. We still have another weekend to go. Yes. Looking at weekend 3, Arizona State, Mississippi State. That's a football rivalry now. Yes. Tennessee, Texas A&M, UCLA, and Virginia Tech. This one really, there's something about it that gets my blood like excited. I don't know what it is. Arizona State, historic program. Willie Bloomquist seems to be having things moving in the right direction. They were really, really fun last year, right on that NCAA tournament bubble. And then Mississippi State, a program under Brian O'Connor now, a proud program, a lot of history there. Tennessee, a recent national champion that continues to just rebuild and rebuild. Texas A&M, one that is now under Michael Early in year 2, which a lot of people didn't expect that to be the case. One that's really looking to prove themselves once again. UCLA, the people's pick for a national champion, some are saying. And Virginia Tech, kind of a wild card. This is how we get Monty in the mix, the ACC representation, a program that is trying to find their way in the ACC.
Yeah.
It wasn't too long ago when they were hosting a regional.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very loaded, like, no offense to Virginia Tech, but you're looking at five national champion like picks. Like people are going to pick those teams to win national championships this year. Virginia Tech, I think they still got a little bit more to do. They did bring in a new pitching coach this year, so I think they're going to be a little bit of an experiment in Arlington. I think they're going to be still trying to figure some stuff out pitching wise. But other than that, I think they have what it takes to make a run in the ACC this year. UCLA, Texas A&M, Tennessee, I'm not going to talk that much about them because they're phenomenal. I think they will be in the hunt when it all matters. I'm going to harp on Arizona State and Mississippi State, the newest football rivalry. I hope all Mississippi State fans went to their local Chili's after that win against Arizona State.
Jesus. The Bass Pro Shops. Don't forget the Bass Pro Shops, too.
Yes. Arizona State, Willie Bloomquist does have that program going in the right direction. He has it going back to what it used to be in the 1980s. Hopefully this next year gets them over that leap because Willie Bloomquist, he's such a smart baseball player and he's trying to bring it into coaching. And I think more players want to play for someone like him. Mississippi State is an interesting one because I've talked to you about my opinion on Mississippi State. And I've kind of hit on it already here with Brian O'Connor. I think Brian O'Connor is a phenomenal coach, but I'm interested to see how this team goes into the season, especially with a lot of talent coming in that it has not played at a level that what the SEC holds. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see some of these matchups, whether it's Mississippi State and UCLA on a Friday or Mississippi State and Arizona State on a Sunday, or I'm not going to make any assumptions, but I think it's going to be UCLA and Tennessee on Friday. If you want the best possible game, UCLA and Tennessee on Friday would be popcorn. Like, you need to have your popcorn for that game. Like, if I'm the schedule makers right now, this is how I'd make it. I'd make it UCLA, Tennessee, that third game on Friday, prime time, 8 o'clock, where it's in Arlington. So 8 o'clock, so 7 p.m. Central. Let's go noon, first pitch, Arizona State and Texas A&M. And then that middle game, Mississippi State and Virginia Tech. You have a good game, you got that middle game, and then you got the primetime game.
Okay. Yeah, I like the way you laid it out there. As you kind of painted that masterpiece for me, I attended one of these weekends last year. I forget which, I believe it was weekend number 2 with Kansas State, Arkansas, Michigan, and TCU. And I enjoyed that. It was 4 teams, so it was only 2 games a day. Nice little ease into the season. I wasn't throwing 3 games a day or anything. But I like this crop of teams. I like this grouping a lot. I don't know what my schedule is going to look like. I don't know if she's tuned in right now, but the future mother of my child determines a lot of my schedule, at least early on in the year, with this being at the end of February. But if there were one of the 3 weekends that I would pick to make a trip to Texas, it would probably be this one. This one gets me excited, even though there's minimal Big 12 representation as a Big 12 guy. Arizona State is in there, UCLA from the Big 10. But I like the diversity in this one, even with 3 SEC teams. I'm excited about this group of teams. And again, I think it flies under the radar enough being week 3 in Arlington. People are thinking, oh, gosh, what's in Arlington now? Surprise, multiple national champion contenders. I'm excited for this one, whether I'm there in person or not.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, that's all we know about the season right now. Again, going back to my rant, outside of maybe Florida UAB and some whispers that we've heard about maybe some Big 12 matchups that I have committed to my memory, it's a big secret right now here in September. We're talking about college baseball, but the people who do college baseball aren't. Outside of that, let's get some anticipation going for next season. Looking at some of the best players to come out of the transfer portal this season. Again, we flipped them. They should be on the opposite end, but I just asked you earlier to name 5 guys in the portal. So these are not the top 5 players in Andrew's transfer portal rankings. These are just 5 guys that you think can make an impact, and feel free to walk us through them.
The first guy I'm going to talk about is Bo Sampson in Tulane. I think Bo Sampson, coming in from Oklahoma, he has top level Friday night type of stuff to help Tulane kick off the series in the right direction. I think he got some opportunities at Oklahoma this past year, but working with Anthony Izio will help him take that next step and really help him dominate in the American Conference. I'm very excited to see Bo take that next step at Tulane. Nico, I'm butchering this last name, Nico Azpilcueta, a Stony Brook transfer from Troy. I have 2 Stony Brook transfers on this list. Nico heading to Troy, I think Coach Meade did a phenomenal job with this portal class, but Nico at Stony Brook was a phenomenal hitter. Him and Eric Paulson are probably the 2 best hitters in that Stony Brook lineup. Obviously, Coach Sank retires from Stony Brook, so a lot of them end up leaving with the uncertainty of who's going to take over as coach there. Nico ends up at Troy, and Eric ends up at UNC. Those are probably 2 of the best under-the-radar hitters in the portal, and that leads me into Eric Paulson. Eric, one of the best lefty hitters in all the country, and in the country, he's a phenomenal fit for that UNC lineup, replacing a big chunk there at first base for Coach Forbes. Will Gasparino heading to UCLA. I mean, this one's kind of self-explanatory, really. I had to put one in there that just kind of been like, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. Will Gasparino to UCLA. That's a really good fit. The playing time might not have been there at Texas, but the playing time is going to be there for UCLA. He'll fit in perfectly there. Cooper Moore going to LSU. He leaves Kansas to go to LSU. And he'll probably slide into that starting rotation pretty easily, actually. I'm very excited to see Cooper take that next step into the SEC. He was a very good pitcher in the Big 12 this year. Noah, you got to see him a couple times. I'm really excited to see him go from pitching in the Big 12 to the SEC. I'm not saying there's a big difference in that, but the energy could kind of spike in someone's thinking – I'm going from one coach to another, especially when these 2 coaches have worked with each other. So I think this is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I don't know what that relationship was like with the handoff per se. It's probably isn't the cleanest thing in the world when your arguably best pitcher wants to go enter the transfer portal and go play for LSU of all places where your former boss is. But I would imagine that there was some conversation during that handoff, and hope the best for all parties involved, of course. And Coop is a really exciting pitcher, and he's going to be not Liam Doyle crazy, but if you're watching this at 8:14 Central, 9:14 Eastern on September the 8th or anytime after, you're probably a college baseball sicko and you'll remember this. Cooper Moore is going to be a very vocal player coming off the mound. He gets emotional in games in a good way, and he's going to be really fun to watch. I don't think LSU breeds that Tennessee, look at me in a good way culture, but he has some of that in him. And I wouldn't have been surprised if he ended up in Knoxville because of that, but he's going to be fun to watch at LSU. But my five guys, you went a little bit under the radar, and then at the end you kind of came out and was like, okay, look at me with my two blue chip guys. I went kind of not blue chip, but close. I think Carson Tenney, even though he's second on my list, I didn't rank them or anything, but Carson Tenney for me was one of the best players in the portal. And I think that Texas got an absolute star at catcher, and he just feels like a player that's going to be making a lot of big-time at-bats and control the game from behind home plate. Really excited. I think that's a match made in heaven. If you're a Texas hater, you're going to hate Carson Tenney, but if you're a Texas fan, he's going to be a fantastic baseball player. I'm going to keep avoiding that top guy, Wesley Jordan. He's, to me, is kind of a gamble for A&M, but at the same time, he's got a power bat on him. He was one of the few guys that succeeded when Baylor played Kansas. That was when Baylor was a really, really strong team. They succeeded a lot in non-conference play, like you alluded to earlier. And then they kind of ran into a brick wall in conference play, but then they became kind of back on that NCAA tournament bubble, just missing the tournament, probably a few extra wins in the Big 12 tournament away from being a tournament team. And Wesley Jordan was a big part of that offensively. He's got a lot of home run power. I'm interested to see how that translates to the SEC. Kyle Johnson is one that it was kind of low-hanging fruit with Virginia getting every player on Duke for the most part. But he's a guy that's a two-way player, high MLB draft potential, going to be a top draft pick next year. When you think of maybe the guys that Virginia got from Duke, you think A.J. Gracia. But Kyle Johnson is an extraordinary baseball player, and that's going to be interesting to watch. And then Caden Aoki at Georgia. I mentioned him last week. I think that he had an outstanding career at USC, and now he's coming to Georgia where who knows what his role is going to be because they brought in so many arms at Georgia. But I would think that he's going to be a frontline starter just because of his career. I really like what that potential is to me. When you get good pitcher and Wes Johnson together, I generally have faith that that's going to work out. And then TJ Pompey to me is, I'm not going to say steal the class because a lot of people know who TJ Pompey is, but I really, really, really like this fit where he's going to come in and almost seamlessly replace Vahiva Aloy. I don't think he's going to win the Golden Spikes. I might pick him to in February, but I'm not going to gamble on him to. But I think that he is a guy that can compete for the Golden Spikes if he reaches his potential, because he certainly didn't at Texas Tech. I think a lot of Texas Tech fans will tell you that he's got certain holes in his game, but I think he's an outstanding baseball player, really exciting ball player that maybe might be flashy at times, but at the same time, he can back it up with especially his bat. And I'm excited to see that translate to a place that can sometimes be hard to hit at Baum-Walker. But TJ Pompey, for me, is your vintage Arkansas portal pickup that makes a huge splash. Maybe not immediately. It always takes a second for those kind of guys to get adjusted. But come March, TJ Pompey is going to be a fantastic player in Arkansas.
Yes. One thing I do, how does Wesley Jordan have another year?
I have given up on trying to solve the eligibility calculator.
We talked about it a little bit on Southern Fried, but one of these teams is going to get in trouble this year because of an eligibility issue. I feel like we're going to have someone get jealous of another team succeeding. They're going to report one of these players to the NCAA, and the NCAA is going to put it in front of someone, and they're going to be like, you know what? He's not eligible. And then we're going to have a bunch of people just like, what? How's this possible? It's funny because I know me and you, we talked about it in Omaha We tried talking to some NCAA people about it. We talked to some people at other outlets about it, and just no one knows the answer to who's eligible and who's not. So it's congrats, Wesley. You got one more year. You're probably I'm not like, this isn't hate toward him. He is going to succeed at Texas A&M. He is a phenomenal ball player, and I love that you put him on his list. When you texted me this, I was out running groceries, so I just thought of 5 people that popped in my head. Wesley's a phenomenal player. He'll fit into that Texas A&M lineup very well, but it's so confusing. I'm so happy I'm not playing in it, so I'm happy that I get to watch these guys succeed now. So.
Yeah, I don't know how any of it works. There was somebody that came across my eyes the other day. It might have been in football, who knows? But it was Kansas's tight end who started his career at Iowa State, so I know who he was. And they said the 7th-year senior with a touchdown. Now, I'm no mathematician, but certainly you are if you're a 7th-year senior. But Andrew, I know you were in college for like 19 years, but
6. I was in school for 6 years, and I just got my master's degree.
But yours was mostly academic that you were falling behind, whereas these guys.
Whoa! I got a master's degree.
But these other guys are somehow playing football the entire time. It doesn't make any sense to me. I know that the player I'm referencing I think he was involved in that gambling investigation at Iowa State, and I know he had an injury last year. So you can weed out how that 7 years may have happened, but it's crazy to think the guys were enrolling in college in 2018 or 2017 when I graduated high school in 2017. Could I still have athletic eligibility if I was playing sports the whole time? I don't know. Maybe.
You're old. You're old.
Looks like you have TJ Pompey with you, a dog.
I got my dog here. 2 years. Got you the other day, so thought I'd give her a shout out.
Can't beat that. Well, Drew, any closing remarks? We just finished episode 2 of this. I think we actually went longer, even though we had less to talk about.
My bad. I did go on some tangents today about that's my bad, but I really like talking about college baseball, and being able to talk about it to you guys is a lot of fun. Do I have any final thoughts? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Why don't you lay it on us?
I did mention we do have our first scrimmage of the fall ball season this fall. So on Friday, Northern Essex against Maine. That should be a fun one. But we're slowly creeping back into the news cycle. Jay Johnson got his contract extension last Friday. There's going to be more and more now coming out with schedules coming out. It's rumored that next Friday we are getting the SEC schedule. So the more news we get, the more fun it is to talk about it here. So I know we talked a lot about Jay Johnson getting his contract extension, some early season tournaments, but don't worry. We're just going to be talking longer and longer from here on out now.
Yes. If we get a full conference schedule before our next show, there's a chance that we go 4 hours next week. We said that we might do twice a week starting in February. We might be starting in September. Who knows? But Andrew, unless you have any additional comments, I think an hour and 20 minutes will probably be good for this September 8th discussion about college baseball.
Yeah, I got one more thing. I'm kidding.
All right. Well, thank you for if you made it this far, especially thank you for tuning into the Band the Wave podcast. We'll be back again next Monday, the 15th. Who knows what might happen between now and then? It sounds like maybe we get the SEC conference schedule. Maybe the Big 12 is listening right now, and we'll get the Big 12 schedule that's existed for 5 months too. Otherwise, we'll see y'all next time.